welcome to Onyx Path's Twitch channel. My name is Travis Legge. My pronouns are he, they, and I am proud to present to you Session 0 of World of Darkness M20 Sorcerer Lodi. So, in this session, we're going to start our characters. We're going to be playing using the new M20 Sorcerer rules, which, if everything went according to plan, should now be available in which, if everything went according to plan, should now be available as an advanced PDF over Drive-Thru RPG. Tonight, we're going to get together. We're going to create some characters. We're going to lay the seeds for our adventure, for our story in these worlds of darkness. And I have these lovely people joining me. So let's go ahead and have everyone introduce themselves. Tell us who you are, what you do, your pronouns, and anything you would care to promote. And let's start things off this time with Gilbert. Please give us your pertinence.
I always hope it's never me first.
It's always going to be you first from now on.
Got it. I should write something down for an intro. I'm Gilbert Ramos. Pronouns are he, him. I am a dude who does things on the internet. I stream for Onyx Path. We're starting season 2 of Scion on August 21st. You can find us over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Roaring Nomads, for Fridays and Sundays Sabbat, and Sundays just kind of Camarilla. It's gonna become a mashup. It's become a shit show, really. That's what I do.
Excellent. And next up, that will bring us to Alex. Please give us your pertinence.
Hi, Alex here. He, him. I am a personal trainer and quasi-professional problem solver. And in my spare time, I often find myself subjecting both myself and those who I play with to the machinations of one Travis Legge, or extensions of Travis Legge, or products developed by or written by Travis Legge, because, well, let's face it, Travis Legge puts out the good shit. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We're here. We're excited. Sorcerer is going to be awesome.
I look forward to seeing where this group takes this material. And speaking of this material, no, bad segue. Chaz, please give us your pertinence.
Hello, all. So I am Chaz, he, him, they, them, both completely fine. I'm a PhD student who researches video games and music and storytelling, that fun stuff. And occasionally I get trapped on the internet. And I say trapped because I don't really have a presence. I think I technically have a Twitter, which I created 4 years ago for Travis. And then as a horror person, never opened it once. But I have been on Onyx Path. Yeah. I've been on Onyx Path. I've done some stuff with Gilbert. So that's really what I do. I just kind of fleet in and out when they allow me to bring my presence here.
Well, your presence is always a gift. Get it? Presence, gift. I should write for a living. Anyway, we're going to just leave that pun in its place. We'll drop flowers off on its anniversary. In the interim, through the power of time magic, which is really beyond kind of the grasp of sorcerers, this isn't a good kickoff to this. Through the magic of editing, we have managed to pull Pesto into Session 0 after all. So if you could please tell us who you are, what you do, if you have a name for who you're playing yet, what that is, and anything that you would care to promote or where people can find you online.
Sure. Hey, my name is Pesto Mystic, and I will be playing Gray, a mage. Thank you so much for editing me into the session. I'm really excited to get started and dive into this wonderful character.
Well, excellent. I'm excited to have you here. I do want to caution you because we don't use the M word when we're talking about our characters. You're a hedge mage or a hedge wizard or yes, because mages are a slightly different thing, a very different thing. They are awakened magic users. You are a asleep magic user. But we'll get all into that. You're effectively new to the World of Darkness, right? You've not played any World of Darkness games?
Correct.
So there's a bit of lore to pick up, but I think it's interesting and fun, and I'm honored to be able to introduce you to this setting through this lens, because this is not how most people come to it. So I'm really interested in what your impressions are of coming this way through it. So to give you just a really basic breakdown of the difference between a mage and a hedge mage, You use magical paths. Those paths are based in fundamental truths about the universe. They're based within the confines of what is reality. It's using equations or effectively using equations or whatever your apparatus are, your tools, to tap into metaphysical truths and create ordained magical effects. The paths, the things that this path at this level can do X, Y, and Z.
Okay.
That's what you do. That's what hedge mages do, or wizards, or you can call yourself a mage in character, but I want to make sure we make that distinction right off the bat so that you understand as well this setting element. A true mage in the world of darkness doesn't do magic that way. They effectively use their tools to inflict their will on reality and change reality to what they want it to be. Which is a lot more powerful, like in terms of, it's a lot more flexible than path magic, but it comes at a very high cost, which is called paradox. So if you try to do one of your spells in front of a bunch of people who don't believe in magic, it probably will just not work. If a mage tries to do one of their spells in front of a bunch of people that don't believe in magic, their face might turn inside out because reality says you can't do that and tries to correct the error, oftentimes causing a great deal of physical, mental, social pain to the mage in the process.
That is a difference. Yes. Okay. I gotcha.
Well, depending on who you ask, you're getting the good end of the deal.
Yeah. Mages are the ones that also have avatars and stuff.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
And you have an avatar, but it's asleep.
Okay. I gotcha.
For all intents and purposes. It's kind of sleepwalking. Though that is also a term that got gamified at one point, so we don't want to confuse anyone with that either, least of all you. Everybody go ahead and grab your Sorcerer character sheets. We're going to dive right in. As we discussed a little bit before we started our game, our basic concept is going to be a game that spans a little over 2 decades. We will begin in the late 1990s, early 2000s, with the characters being in high school age, and these will be represented by starting characters for Sorcerer, which we will build now. Then we're going to advance the plot 20 years after we've finished our first session and come back and revisit where those characters are. Now, if we have time today, we'll get a little glimpse of where those characters might be, but after we've experienced the events of 20 years ago, changes could be made to those. Does that make sense and sound good to everybody? For those of you who may be unfamiliar with World of Darkness Sorcerer, this project allows you to play hedge wizards and psychics. So all the rules that you need in order to play those types of characters in the World of Darkness, alongside the Mage 20th Anniversary Edition core rules. Everything you need is right there in M20 Sorcerer. There's a lot of variety. We're going to dive into some of the things that you can do as we build these characters up. So let's start things off this time with Lecco. Do you have a concept? If you all turn to page 103 of Mage 20th Anniversary Edition World of Darkness Sorcerer, you will find, I love saying it all like its long name. You will find the character creation steps.
It's like a Tribe Called Quest. You got to say the whole
right. It's like a Tribe Called Quest. You got to say the whole thing. Yeah, exactly. So,
I think knowing that we're going to be playing some youngsters. I'm always kind of every time provided with an opportunity to play a younger character, I'm always on the fence as to whether I'm going to play a version of I'm going to channel my youth or whether I'm going to use a friend as inspiration or family, or whether I'm going to use some piece of media or try to come up with something unique. I think in this instance, I am going to dig deep and find some of my more anxious roots. And I wasn't a terribly fearful adolescent, much to the dismay of the people that had to care for me.
And we're in your immediate vicinity? Yeah.
Them too. So I want to play someone who's a little skittish and might be prone to overstimulation just
Okay.
by nature of the type, but less by nature of condition and more like as a result of the abilities they manifest, and kind of that ends up kind of shaping their first layers of, inability to function normally.
Right on. I can dig it. How about you, Gilbert? You got anything in the hopper? Any concepts in mind?
Alex actually spoke something that I've never done before. I've never revisited who I was as a young person because I don't like that guy. But I think for this, we might just do that. Fair warning, he's a bad person.
I can already see the petals of this nightmare unfolding. Sure. Well, bad person dovetails in nicely with another idea I had, but first let's get to Chaz. Do you have an idea? So we have a skittish person and a bad person. Those are our basic concepts we have so far. How about you, Chaz?
I mean, if we're going back to the we versions of ourselves, then I am going to channel we Chaz, who was super extroverted, was just talking all the time.
Oh no.
And so he had to channel that into like hyperfixating on specific activities. So basketball, theater, dance, it's like this is what we're doing now in order to like spare those around him from his constant machinations of like, yeah, we're going down this road. If you wanted to leave, you should get out of the car because we're going a certain miles an hour.
Gotcha. Okay. I love it. So we have kind of more of a hyperactive, more busy type.
Yeah.
More boisterous, extroverted
Just say
type.
extra.
Extra.
All
right.
Extra.
Now, I'm imagining that this story is going to center. The story will take place in the town of Lodi, Wisconsin, and the action will largely take place there. There is a school in the town that you could all be attendees of or residents of. It's a private school that was started around the turn of the 19th to 20th century. Focused initially, it was like a school for wayward boys, but eventually became like a co-ed sort of last chance school, if you will. Kind of the place that you get sent when you get expelled from public school. However, they have a pretty, you might say, exclusive roster. They only allow a certain number of students and students with certain profiles and backgrounds, which they do not publicly divulge, to attend there. They turn down probably as many students as they accept, and there's never any, as far as anyone knows, there's never any sort of standard reason as to why. So you need to be involved with this school at some level. You might be a student there. You might be doing community service for an unrelated incident there at the school. You could simply live in an adjacent lot, like in a house that's on an adjacent lot. Maybe you're dating someone at the school. But each of you needs to figure out kind of what your relationship is with this institution.
We're going 20 years back. We're going 20 years back from this year.
Yeah,
So
sure.
like
Let's say 2002.
Okay. I'm just trying to think about like what was in the environment.
Yeah, let's go back 20 years from this year, because if you put a gun to my head, I couldn't tell you the publication date of the original World of Darkness Sorcerer, though I bet you Ian, who may very well be in the chat, probably can. I do not know when it initially was published. So 20 years back from today.
I think I'm definitely going to be a student at the school. Probably you said it's a private school?
Yeah, think of it like a cross between a boarding school and a juvenile detention center, effectively.
Okay.
So it's a boarding school for bad kids, basically.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense for me. It's fine. I'm just difficult.
Right.
general.
It's not all. Yeah, exactly. It's not. It's all for whatever reason these children were removed from the regular, from public school. It may have been very well that your parents made a decision to pull you out of public school because of your sensory situation.
For your reference, it looks like 1997.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And sounds about right.
Shout out Phil Mercado.
Holla. Anyway, yeah. So how about you, Chaz? Any strong feelings on this?
Yeah, I think being part of the school fits. Being a not sort of delinquent, just a disturbance in other schools.
Okay.
Coming here gives me that like structure I need to just kind of focus on things.
Sure. That works for me. And how about you, Gilbert?
I will also be a student, likely due to my behavior.
Okay, so you're the really delinquent one of the bunch.
Yeah.
Excellent. Can't wait to see. We have a fourth player who will be joining us and creating her character separately. So I'm sure that'll be interesting to see how she weaves into this bunch. So the next thing that it suggests you choose during your character concept is your affiliation. So technically, we're going to treat this as though you're all affiliated to the school. And we'll just go ahead and call it it's Nighthawk Preparatory. What can you tell me about Gray? And you did get a chance to meet with a couple of the players between then and now, so you do know that we are beginning our focus on these teenagers.
I did not know that specifically.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are starting our focus with these students at the school. The year is 2002, and you're somewhere around school age or have some other connection to the school if you want to be older. So if you wanted to be a teacher there or something like that, you could be. I'm certainly not trying to stuff you in the Jean Grey / mother figure to these people's role.
No worries. I somebody mentioned a karate class, so I thought that's where I met everybody.
Okay, cool. I like it.
Okay, but now school age is that's a really good idea. So I could use like terminologies like bra and stuff. Okay. Gotcha.
Yes. The idea being that the first session will take place primarily in 1990 or in 2002.
Okay.
And the second session will take place primarily in 2022.
Okay.
Oh,
sweet. You're going to this? I like this.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, coolio. So I guess the basic concept is just kind of hating Nazis. I saw one of the affiliates and I'm like, that's basically my character right there. It's the foreign genor.
Oh, I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea. So I guess, but the question then becomes, if you're affiliated with a group,
mm-hmm.
Are you at that school by happenstance, or are you in the karate classes by happenstance? Are you at that school by happenstance? Are you there because your family is there? Because what's your way into the school? Because so far nobody has chosen an allegiance yet, and none of them. I gave them traits for what their allegiance would be for being students at the school.
Okay.
But I kind of love the idea of you being something of an outsider.
Sure.
If you're comfortable with that. If you'd rather be a student at the school, I can give you what that allegiance's stuff is. It's up to you.
No, I'm totally down for being an outsider. I like that. I think this character is going to be a little bit quieter and very, very judgmental, to the point where maybe overly judgmental sometimes and hurt people that might not actually deserve it, or sort of judgmental, but
that will work out fabulously with our group.
Wonderful.
Yeah. All right, great. So So yes, please tell me a little bit about your allegiance.
Oh, my allegiance.
Yeah, you had chosen the Nazi punchers.
Yes.
Do you recall any details about them besides that they punch Nazis?
Honestly,
Which is a
that's what I was
great
drawn towards.
detail.
I don't think I recall anything else besides that.
Well,
I know there was definitely more. Like they go back a ways, and
specifically, they follow Norse traditions and are currently very engaged in sort of purging white nationalism from the practice.
that's what it was.
Kind of stomping down this other organization every time they pop up. So, I mean, it could be that, like, literally, and it's often because it's often like a familial practice.
Mhm.
Okay, so it could very well be that you're, possibly even like of Nordic descent, and you're in the area, like literally, like you live with your parents, and you're there because you and your parents are there hunting. They're hunting Nazis.
Yeah.
And then you fall into whatever else is going on.
I like where that's going.
Sure, I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So what does that mean in terms of allegiance? Sorry, I have to have stuff spelled out sometimes.
Well, it's the I'm terrible with the pronunciations of it. Foreign.
I'm calling it foreign junior.
Yes.
Like a French for some reason.
I'll see if I can find somebody that can teach me the appropriate pronunciation before session 1. Our next step is to choose our nature, demeanor, and essence. These are in Mage 20th between pages 266 and 273. And even though you aren't a mage, you aren't awakened, your avatar will still have some influence into your existence. So choosing a essence is important. It's not going to have so much mechanical weight as it will narrative weight, but it's a very good thing for you to keep your character on track, and for me to help push your character in a direction. Any thoughts on those, Gilbert?
Still checking through some stuff.
Alex?
Where are the essences?
Somewhere between 266 and 273. I think they're right before nature and demeanor, but I could be wrong.
Let's see. Backgrounds.
Wait. Yep, page. If you type in 267 in the PDF, you'll get to the.
Oh, from Mage?
Yeah, Mage.
I didn't even have Mage open.
Yeah. You will need to use the Mage 20th Anniversary Edition core rules.
Sure. You said page what?
Is this a supplement for that book? Yeah.
200 what?
267.
Gotcha. I think I will probably be questing.
Okay. Yeah, just a quick overview for anybody who may be unfamiliar with them. The 4 essences of the avatar kind of dictate like how you relate to the universe and the ways you work magic and the things you're driven to do. Dynamic essences embody change. Pattern essences embody the opposite. They are stability and order. Primordial essences are chaos at the core of the universe, central enigmas, mysteries. And questing is vagabonds, errants, pilgrims, and pioneers, people who prefer the open road and a worthy cause, people who are on a quest. That would be the questing essence. So those are your 4 essences. Is there one that reaches out to you in particular? Alex?
Wait, we talk about essence?
Yeah.
Right? I thought I said questing. Sorry.
You're going with questing, okay. And was there one that leapt out at you in particular, Chess?
There was chaos, order.
Yeah, it's dynamism, pattern, primordial, and questing. So primordial is chaos. Dynamic is like change. Dynamic is like change and shift. Primordial is like raw, unadulterated chaos. That's kind of the difference between the two. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Dynamic has changed with a plan.
I'm not sure if I want to have a. Yeah, we'll do primordial. It was
All right.
primordial.
Excellent. And Gilbert, any thoughts on your end?
Dynamic. I was all about change with the plan when I was tiny.
All right. Excellent. And then we have nature and demeanor. There's a rather extensive list, but what they boil down to is you regain your willpower points that are spent, which are quite important for hedge mages, based on fulfilling your nature and demeanor. Or your nature, I should say. So whenever you do something that's in tune with your nature, you might gain 1 to 3 willpower points. That you spend.
I think I've chosen my nature and demeanor.
What do you got? Your nature is the type of person you are. Your demeanor is
Yeah.
the type of person people perceive you as.
So I'm going with martyr and kid.
Okay. I like it. Any thoughts on yours, Chaz?
I'm still looking for my Mage 20 PDF. Give me 1 sec.
No worries. In the event that you don't happen to have Mage 20 on hand, any 20th anniversary core book will do for things like nature and demeanor and trait allocations, things like that.
Gotcha.
And most of your steps are covered in Sorcerer. It just refers out to Mage to describe what those things are.
Uh-huh.
While you're looking for that, Gilbert, do you have any?
Yes. I've chosen them. I'm just trying to put them in the right spots. Nature is who you are truly, and demeanor is what you give off, correct?
Right, demeanor is how you're perceived.
Copy that. I'm gonna take up survivor as the nature and traditionalist as the demeanor.
Beautiful. So your favorite attributes?
Oh yeah, I definitely have those written down already.
Right.
Dexterity and wits, and my favored paths: divination, enchantment, hellfire, and summoning, binding, and warding.
Okay. Excellent. And have you spent your points for your abilities and attributes?
Yes, that was number 2, I think, right on the checklist.
I believe so.
Yes, spent attribute points and spent ability points. I made a checklist just to keep up with everything.
Nice. Let's talk about our expenditures here. I'm sending you the list in the Zoom chat.
Thank you.
I'm gonna swap my nature out, I think, to rogue.
That's probably what I was thinking based on what you were talking about, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah, I missed that.
Okay, that's fine. Changing your nature to rogue or your demeanor to rogue?
Nature to rogue.
Okay. Beautiful. And in the meantime, while Chaz is looking at that list, you can select your attributes and abilities. So you assign points to your character's game traits to reflect the capabilities, strengths, and weaknesses. Attributes are sort of your raw ability, your raw potential, and abilities are things that you have either trained in or just instinctually know, skills, talents, knowledges you've developed over time. For attributes, you get to choose between physical, social, and mental, providing 6 dots to your primary, 4 on your second, and 3 on your tertiary attributes. The first dot of your attributes is free. Did you get your backgrounds? Backgrounds might have been a bit of a challenge because you didn't have the appropriate book.
A little bit. Now, am I choosing 5 backgrounds?
You have 5 dots in backgrounds, yeah.
5 dots in backgrounds. How many backgrounds do I get to choose? So next
As many as you can buy, up to 5.
up to 5.
Depends on what backgrounds you're getting and at what level.
Okay. Because I just kind of wrote down, like, there was like a paragraph of examples that I just sort of wrote down on the
yes.
sheet, like, oh, this sounds kind of, I get like allies and resources. It sounds,
Sure, I can break down what those are for you, actually.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about which backgrounds you can choose. That's in Sorcerer on page 104. Yeah. So which backgrounds were you interested in, I guess?
I think the ones I saw, I think it would be allies and resources. Those were the two I'm most interested in.
Yeah, so allies is literally people who you know that you can go to for help. In this case, your whatever family unit member you're with, or maybe it's a coven member, whoever you're there with, you're the responsible adult who is also theoretically one of the sorcerers from this thing, would be an ally, for example.
Okay.
Or you could also, depending on how you want them to be used, right? Allies come and help you out with things hands-on. Contacts you go to for information. Spies, for example, you go to strictly for like clandestine information, like stuff that you had planted places. So like mentor, you go to like just to learn from. So there's a couple different ways that you can slice that. If you wanted them to be more of like functionally more of a partner than a person who sends you on missions, allies would be an example of that.
Does
that make sense?
Like a good one, yeah. Totally doing allies.
And then resources is how much ready cash you have available that's yours to spend.
I feel like that's a little bit important with this group for some reason.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely take that one. Okay, yeah. I think I might just stick with those two. That's
Absolutely.
all right. And then I can spend 5 points in those. Gotcha. 1, 2, 3. Ah! Clicking is hard. Perfect. All right. Got that. Did you want me to go through the essence, nature, demeanor now, or would you like me to go ahead and do that on my own and then update my character sheet?
Either way is fine. We can always circle around to those last. I mean, those are somewhat important aspects of your character. Essence, really what it boils down to is what drives you. It's less of an issue for a sorcerer than it is for a mage because your sleeping avatar is responsible for your essence.
Okay.
For a mage, their awakened avatar is responsible for their essence. So it'll show up and start talking to you. And sometimes it'll be the refrigerator when it does, and sometimes it'll be a dream, and sometimes it'll be your pet. Sometimes it'll be just a buddy that only you can see. But yeah, it'll show up and verbally knock you around sometimes, or try to get you to do things and things along those lines. Yeah.
Oh my god! Yeah, I might want to take some time to read all of that then, because that sounds. Oh, this game sounds like a trip. I'm excited.
Mage is a trip. Were you able to find a nature and demeanor, Chaz? Are you still looking?
Yeah, nature is who you are, correct?
Correct.
So then nature is going to be sensualist and demeanor is going to be mad scientist.
Oh, geez. I love it. It's my favorite thing in the universe. Excellent. And then Gilbert, have you spent your attributes?
I have.
What you got?
So my highest is in social. Charisma at 3 dots, manipulation at 4 dots, and appearance at 2 dots.
Okay.
Secondary is physical, 3 dots in strength, 3 dots in stamina, 1 dot in dexterity. Mental is my tertiary, with 2 dots down the row, perception, intelligence, and wits.
Love it. How about you, Lecco? What you got?
I took mental primary, so I'm 3, 3, and 3. Secondary physical, so I have 2 strength, 2 dexterity, 3 stamina, and social tertiary. I have appearance 4.
Beautiful. Next, you have abilities. With those, you prioritize between talent, skills, and knowledges, spending 11 on your primary, 7 on the secondary, and 4 on the tertiary. No ability may be higher than 3 at this stage. And Chaz, did you get your attributes spent up?
Yes. 5 charisma, 3 appearance, and 1 manipulation.
Right on.
Physical, 3 strength, 3 dex, and 1 stamina. And then mental, 3 wits, 2 perception, and 1 intelligence.
Nice. All right. Go ahead and spin up your abilities. Let me know when those are done, or if you run any questions for that. It's 11, 7, 4 are the numbers.
And nothing can be higher than 3, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right. At this stage, that is correct.
What is esoterica?
Esoterica is like strange and unusual knowledge that doesn't quite fall under occult per se. Occult is more like your Aleister Crowley, Barnes and Noble, Victorian-ish, Western, mostly Western sort of supernatural. I guess more like surface level and rumor, if I had to specify it.
Okay.
Whereas esoterica is more like the crunch of those things, the secrets behind those rumors. Someone who has dots in the cult knows that Enochian is the language of the angels because John Dee did a book about it, right? Somebody with esoterica knows Enochian. That's the, or at least can recognize Enochian, that sort of thing, right? So I mean, it's mad handy to have. Yeah, it states in the book that you have astrology, angelography, fortune-telling yoga, herbalism, demonology, the lore of stones, things like that. That's your esoterica.
Yeah, I was trying to decide between that and occult as like a quirky interest set, and you sold me on esoterica, so we're there now. We're esoteric indeed.
Beautiful. Does that complete this expenditure of your abilities? What do you got?
I think so. So in talents, so I took primary talents. So I am alertness 2, athletics 2, awareness 3, empathy 3, streetwise 1. Under skills, I have drive 1, martial arts 2, stealth 1. And under knowledges, I have academics 1, computer 2, esoterica 3, investigation 1.
Beautiful. How about you, Gilbert?
So I ended up taking primary talents, 2 alertness, 3 in brawl, 1 intimidation, 1 leadership, 2 streetwise, 2 subterfuge. My secondary skills was 1 in firearms, 2 in martial arts, 2 in melee, and 2 in survival. And then for my tertiary was knowledges. I've got 2 in occult. I'm still allocating these last 2, or this last 1, I should say. Wait, 2.
Is Gilbert in my karate class?
It
just might be.
It's possible. It's not impossible. Chaz, do you have your skills sorted out, or your abilities?
Yes.
Sorted out?
We are a talented bunch. I also took primary talents. 1 in art, 2 in athletics, 2 in brawl, 2 in empathy, 3 in expression, and 1 in leadership. Secondary was skills, 1 in drive, 2 in martial arts, 3 in melee, and 1 in research. And then knowledge, 1 in academics, 1 in computer, and 2 in investigation.
Wonderful. I love it.
So we're all in the same karate class.
That's good. That'll come in handy. So
how we know each other?
It could be. So next you have your backgrounds. You have 5 dots to spend on backgrounds. Those can be spent freely on the list provided on page 104 of Sorcerer. I am going to assume that your characters will not have any loyalty to the Technocratic Union and therefore can take no technocratic backgrounds. But you can certainly take that approved list. The backgrounds are detailed in Mage 20.
Well, you see, my parents are technically technocratic, but not in like the paradigm sense. They, they just kind of defer to the experts, follow the science.
I mean, that's fair.
There's only 1 background in this book. Oh, Mage 20th.
Yeah, the rest are in Mage 20.
So I was like, wait a minute. So we can only take artifact? No.
Yes, that's it. That's your choice.
Easy, done. Artifact 5.
Yeah, the artifact background in Sorcerer is new. Otherwise, you can use any of the ones that are listed on page 104. And yeah, you will not have access to the extra backgrounds that it lists for people that are allied with the Disparate Alliance or the Technocratic Union. Or the traditions for that matter. So no Chantry and no Node. For sure.
So since we're playing like, of non-legal age, does if we get resources, is that resources like we have access to via our parental units then? Is that kind of like
Yeah, that would be like money you can pull
like our
from-
working our available money for ourselves?
Right.
Okay. Because if I take resource 3, but I gotta like ask my dad, it's gonna suck.
Right. It's what you can access directly.
All right. So
Maybe they have a platinum card set up in your name or something.
1 says you can have a vehicle, 2 says you can have a vehicle plus some savings and enough for indulgences. 3 means I could run away. We're gonna go with 2. I can't run away yet.
Okay.
So familiar. Talk to me about familiar.
What about it?
So familiars that's from 20th, right?
Mhm.
So am I making the assumption that it needs to be like a mundane creature? Like how are we playing this?
Well, the familiar background.
Because there's a huge list. Okay. There's like a huge list of potential familiars. I'm just trying to figure out what makes like how magical or weird or esoteric are we? Or are we kind of like
So the assumption is going to be that at start of game, you have all the capacity and knowledge of a starting sorcerer character.
okay.
So you do know about magic. You've been studying it, quite possibly in part at this school.
Okay.
Now, whether that's magical or psychic for each character will depend on that character, but you will be at least aware of your capacities, your capabilities, and kind of the basic functions thereof. You're effectively students of the arcane, as it were.
Okay.
On top of your normal, schoolwork. I'm just bringing up the backgrounds now.
Because like the advantage for mages is that they can eat paradox. Like we don't get paradox, right?
Usually you don't.
Okay.
But that is one advantage for mages. The other being that you have a animal buddy or other type of companion.
I think I'm going to take familiar, and I'm also considering taking a little bit of arcane.
Okay.
Because this character does not like standing out in general. Because he's relatively skittish and doesn't like people to look at him. So I feel like maybe it's like an unconscious manifestation,
And couple things to keep in mind about familiar.
Okay.
One, the paradox nullification is only one of the things it can offer you. You've got that whole list there.
Mm-hmm.
But also
it needs to eat.
It needs to eat.
Yeah.
So you'll need a means of gathering and providing it with quintessence.
Yeah. And I think I know what I'm going to do for that. I'm just not quite sure how it's going to play out yet, but we'll get there. So I'm going to assume that I have it for now until we get to freebies, and I guess we'll go from there.
Or
so
you
I have
just
arcane.
Have a big, or else that'll be a big plot point.
Yeah, gotta go find something to feed him. Sure. So I have right now I have arcane 1, familiar 2, resources 2.
Perfect. Chaz, you still working on yours, or do you have yours sorted out?
I'm thinking going like Is there a limit on how many we can put into a single one?
5.
There. I think I'm going 5 domain. Yeah. I just like having my little dream world.
Oh, dements, you mean?
Domain, yeah.
Okay. You probably want to pick up the lucid dreaming talent on page 294. Just FYI. It's handy to have.
Right.
You don't need it, but it's handy to have if you have dements. So if you want to go dements 5, that's fine. I'm sure won't come in handy at all.
Probably not.
And Gilbert.
Yeah, I took 1 in allies, 1 in contacts, 2 in influence, and 1 in status.
Okay, cool. So the core conceit of Mage is that reality is malleable based on belief. There are a couple of factions that are duking it out over who gets to control reality. The Council of 9 Mystic Traditions, which want magic to be the dominant paradigm. The Technocratic Union, which prefer technology to be the dominant paradigm. The Nefandi, who want to watch it all burn, and the Marauders, who want to rip everything to pure chaos. And that's called the Ascension War. And it's a thing that sorcerers don't generally worry about because it doesn't affect them for the most part, unless they're involved with those other factions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's deep.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, seriously. Okay. It's maybe I just need to be read to more often or something like that. When you talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm starting to get the picture, like reading, I'm like, this is really freaking cool sounding. And like listening to you like describe it even further. It's like, oh, now I'm getting it, I think, a little bit.
Well, thank
Awesome.
you. I try. So your essences you basically have 4. It's dynamic, which is you strive for change. Stasis, which is you strive to protect the status quo. Primordial, which is you are driven by like a raw animal, excuse me, instinctual sort of chaos.
Okay.
And then questing, which is you're driven to, you have like a literal quest you're trying to do, a literal goal you're trying to be on.
Okay.
If in fact your character is so passionate about punching Nazis that it's a fundamental part of their soul, that could be questing.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm like, well, status quo, like, I don't know what the definition of status quo by the social construct around here. So that might not be his thing. And once you describe questing, like that sounds like him.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could be like in terms of I'm protecting the tradition of my family, could be a pattern mage.
Mm.
So that is one way of taking that same concept and skinning it with a different essence.
Like how like open world you got going on here. That's great. Like, no, that's not impossible.
Yeah, I'm sorry I keep coughing.
No, you're perfectly fine.
But yeah, you can take almost any concept and find a way to manifest it in one of the 4 essences, or in multiple of the 4 essences, I should say.
Okay.
So once you get that done, nature and demeanor, you're probably going to want to spend some time with. The big thing to remember about those is there's two things. Nature is who you truly are.
Okay. Like beknownst to me or unbeknownst to me?
It doesn't necessarily have to be beknownst to you, but it's the core of your being. It's what drives you and fuels you.
Okay.
You might have a healthy load of self-denial going on, but it's how you regain willpower in this game, which is an important resource that you spend. So in acting according to your nature, you regain lost willpower points.
Okay.
And then demeanor is how the world sees you.
Okay.
And that's more of just a role-playing tool for you. Yeah, that's pretty much what those cover.
Okay, perfect. And willpower is usually like the thing that you spend in order to do a ritual. Yes, you.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, willpower you spend like with rituals to get successes on certain acts and things like that. Yeah. Sweet. All right. Now we get to the really fun part. This is where you choose your Numina. You will decide whether you are going to use hedge magic paths or psychic phenomena. And you have 5 dots to spend in the Numina that you choose. So, Lecco, what you thinking?
So I want to take just in line with the character. So I have 2 routes that I'm thinking about going, and there's a bunch of overlap depending on how many. So we get 5 points, right, to distribute.
Yes.
Amongst whatever. So I'm gonna go psychic. I want to take animal psychics as one thing, and I'm also considering some telepathy.
Okay.
So like things just talk to him, or he talks to things. That's kind of like a part of his, and that's why telepathy is so annoying for him, because he keeps like hearing people's thoughts, and it sucks because he doesn't want to. They're like invasive. But animals he finds comforting, hence the familiar. So I'm thinking like animal psychics and telepathy. And I know we only get so many points. So
you get 5 points.
Yeah, but I kind of like the idea of also taking because some of these abilities are really useful at 1 that I think would also be kind of cool. Like having psychoportation 1 is just like awkward and fun.
Sure.
Or even like at 2, like something small. And that leaves him without really any sort of way to really protect himself other than running, which again I'm kind of fine with. But if I were to go down one of those roads, it would probably end up being like psychokinesis, not like pyrokinesis, but like maybe a little bit of psychokinesis. So I'm thinking that vein, right? Being able to talk to animals or people, maybe having a way out, maybe moving some stuff.
Okay. Yeah, you have. Go ahead and break out your 5 points the way you think it's best. With psychic phenomena, the core rules are broken out for you very nicely on page 54 of Sorcerer. Yep. A lot of what you are going to be working with will be based on your willpower.
Yeah.
So feel free to spend those 5 points, and then we can get into your freebies shortly thereafter. How about you, Chaz? You got any idea which direction you wanted to go?
I am stuck on 2 separate paths right now. Just trying to do a quick reread to see if one like jumps out at me.
All right. While you're reading that, do you need a minute?
Yes, please.
All right, Gilbert. How about you?
I was definitely going to lean more toward hedge magic. I'm just trying to now find the path. Oh, there it is. We're good.
Yep. So the path magic core rules are on page 12 of Sorcerer. There's a couple things that you need to keep in mind when you're playing Hedge Wizard. So when you begin studying Hedge Magic, you choose a casting attribute and affinity path from your fellowship's list. So your list, based on your fellowship at the school, will be a choice between intelligence and wits for your favorite attribute.
Gotcha.
And your favored paths tend to be alchemy, conveyance, enchantment, and summoning, binding, and warding. I will send that to you on chat as well. So,
gotcha.
The next thing you do then, once you got those chosen, so are you going to base your casting off of intelligence or wits?
They're both the same, so I think just for flavor purposes, I'm going to call it based in wits.
All right. So you'll want to maybe make a little X on the notes for your wits attribute, because that'll come in handy. And then each path that you choose, you must assign to a practice. Practices are broken out in Mage 20, page 573 to 586. Or if you want to look at Book of Secrets, there are some extra ones in there. Each of those practices should have some abilities associated with them. You will choose one of those abilities for each path. So basically what happens is you have your casting attribute that applies to all your magic.
Mhm.
Then each hedge magic path you choose, you have to pick a practice for that path. And from that practice's associated skills, pick a skill for that path.
Gotcha. Where are the practices one more time?
Mage 20, page 573 to 586.
73. Copy.
And none of your paths can be higher than the skill that you have attached that path to. So for example, let's say you have Hellfire, your Hellfire is tied to occult. If you have an occult skill of 2, you can only take your Hellfire up to 2.
Right on. So
And that's saying it's drawn from a world of gods and monsters as your paradigm, for example.
Gotcha.
Make sense?
I'm going to take something.
Or rather, like I guess it would be like witchcraft because it's a practice, not a paradigm. I apologize.
So with
Okay.
taking summoning and binding, I need to choose.
Summoning,
From
binding,
the-
warding, that's one path,
Oh, sick.
right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, summoning, binding, and warding is one path. It's on page 49. And you're going to take that at what? I'm sorry?
There's nothing limiting so far for like dottage for this.
You have to choose which practice it's associated with,
Gotcha.
and then it would limit it to your dots in that skill. But you also do have freebie points. So if you're like, I just want this at 4, you can always raise whatever skill it is to 4 with the freebies.
Gotcha. I need to find the skill for this, and that should tell me.
In psychokinesis, is the strength or dexterity equal to the rating of the psychokinesis? Is that what it's using?
Psychokinesis?
So it says when you activate psychokinesis, grants a strength and dexterity score for their actions once activated. Does that mean the psychokinesis is the strength and dexterity of whatever action you're doing?
Hold on, I'm looking real quick. It's listed in the dots of psychokinesis. Your rating determines those, but it's specified.
Oh,
so
I see
if
it
you
now.
have 1 dot, you have a strength dexterity of 0. At 5 dots, you have a strength dexterity of 4.
Okay.
And it's broken down by level.
I'm not seeing a place for the skills for summoning, binding, and warding in Mage 20.
No. I'm sorry. What you're looking at in Mage 20 in that section is your practices.
Gotcha. Okay.
So what was the page number I gave you?
You gave 573 through something.
Yeah,
586.
So in each 573, you look at these practices here,
Mhm.
where it'll say alchemy, associated paradigms, and then associated abilities.
Gotcha.
So you will choose a practice. So like, let's say, for example, your summoning, binding, and warding works off of dominion as your practice, social domination.
Gotcha.
I will bind you by the power of my will. Your associated abilities with that are academics, art, belief systems, empathy, expression, intimidation, leadership, media, politics, seduction, technology. So you pick
Gotcha.
one of those skills and you would use the instruments that are listed under common instruments when you're using your rituals and casting that.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
Yep.
You can have multiple paths tied to a single practice if you want. You can have all your paths tied to one attribute if you want, or one ability if you want. That is possible. You don't have to, though. And I would recommend against doing it, in fact.
Raj.
How about you, Chaz? How we coming along? You
So
decided which way you want to go?
I was thinking going the hedge magic route because you can do decay, and I love me a good decay, but I think I'm gonna stick to the original plan and do the psychic vampirism because it kind of fits with what I have so far.
Okay. Are you just going straight psychic vampire all the way? Like, just dump everything into psychic vampirism?
That is what I tend to do, although there's pyrokinesis there, and we do want chaos. I might do like one little pyrokinesis thing just to like stoke the fires.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Did you decide what ability you wanted to go with for your summoning, binding, and warding?
Yeah, I'm gonna tie it to with gutter magic because that's the best. I'm gonna tie it to survival.
Okay. I love it. Have you decided on any other paths?
Not yet, I don't think.
All right. And you'd already selected paths as well, right?
I think I did, right? Oh, I want to say yes, and then
You said Hellfire you had mentioned?
yes, Hellfire definitely chose.
All right. And what else did you choose in that block of points?
Okay, that I think is where I started confusing myself.
Okay. So you should have 5 dots between your paths. Right?
Okay.
So if, like, for example, if you just have Hellfire, you could have Hellfire 5 if you had the skill up high enough to cover that. So how many dots have you spent then in that center part of the sheet where it says path set / phenomena? How many of those dots are filled in?
Have not spent any because I think
Okay.
this is where I started confusing myself.
So you just wrote down Hellfire, that was one you wanted, and that was it?
Correctamundo.
Excellent. Did you have any others written down?
I was debating about illusion, but I'm kind of
Okay.
I think I'm set on Hellfire to be honest.
So when you select a path of magic, you have to choose a practice that's tied to that path.
Okay.
Now, it should talk a little bit about that in your affiliation.
Okay.
I think I might have said allegiance a couple times and then affiliation. Just looking through it real quick, sorry.
No, same here. You're all good.
So yeah, this is based on like witchcraft of the Norse, deity worship, those types of elements.
Okay.
So if you go over into the Mage core book.
Okay. Practice instruments and growing beyond.
Yes, you can do some of the stuff that's in there. So
It's all slowly coming together.
so you want, right. So where it says paradigms, practices, and instruments, effectively you have to choose a practice for each one of your paths.
Okay.
Okay. So witchcraft is listed as one of the practices there. So for example, if you wanted witchcraft to be your Hellfire path, so you have to do some sort of herbal work and chanting, dancing, skyclad under the moon, whatever, to kick that off. Then you would say, all right, witchcraft is tied to Hellfire. And then you would go down into the practices and look for witchcraft.
Okay. Totally with you, I swear.
And those start on page 572. Witchcraft is going to be at the tail end of it.
Okay, I see.
Because they're in alphabetical order. So when you get down to witchcraft, you will see there are associated abilities.
Okay.
you would pick any of the list, anything from that list of associated abilities, and that's the ability you're going to roll when you're using your Hellfire magic.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, because remember how I said you get the favorite attributes?
Yes.
You're going to pick an affinity attribute from those,
Oh boy, howdy. Okay.
right?
This character's just got a whole lot more options. Wowsies. Okay. Practice. So I can choose any of those practices and then go from there.
Yep. Once you get the practice chosen, you go down to the practice in the Mage book. You look at the associated abilities, and that's the skill that you tie to that path. Each of your paths that you know has to have a skill tied to it. And then you will roll your affinity ability plus the path skill every time you cast a spell. Make sense?
I'm going to be perfectly honest, not quite yet, but I think I will grasp it at some point.
Sure.
Roll affinity ability plus
The path skill.
path skill. Okay. And that's how I will cast my spells.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So you might even want to write, like in Hellfire, you might want to put the skill that it's connected to in parentheses, or up on the skills where you have that line where you can write a specialty, you might want to write in any path that's attached to that skill. Either way, you can track them that way.
Okay.
So you can easily spot which one goes where, you know?
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. This part seems kind of familiar. I feel like this was something else that we played for some reason. Like we attributed like a skill to a path.
Well, when you're creating characters in Story Path, you draw which skills you know based on what paths you take.
Okay.
So that might be where you're...
Just the general general thing sounds quite familiar. That is.
But
Oh my gosh, martial arts.
so the way this works then is you have to, if you're going to take any dots in a path, you have to have dots in the skill equal to or higher than your dots in the path.
Okay.
So if you're using witchcraft and your skill is occult for Hellfire, you would have to have an occult of 3 in order to have 3 dots of Hellfire. You couldn't raise your Hellfire to a 4 until you raise your occult to a 4.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Makes sense. That's where the book was starting to talk about that. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So it's like, what? This has to equal what?
Because you have to be good enough in the skill to master that level of magic.
Okay. Let's see. Associated paradigms, associated abilities, acrobats, alertness. Oh boy, howdy. That's not gonna work out for me. Or is it? Martial arts, medicine, meditation. What? Meditation? In martial arts? They're to kick butt and take names. Awareness. Oh,
Are you looking at martial arts as a paradigm?
yeah, I was debating about it, and then I'm looking at like the stuff that I put skills as like my number one,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't seem to really what I would have already spent my dots in doesn't really add up quite.
Well, I mean,
Try to
that's
move
part of
around.
what this process is. Yeah, you can move dots around.
Yeah. Let me think on that one.
Alex, had you spent all your points?
Yeah, I think so. Are we going to be incorporating merits and flaws?
I don't have any objection to working through those. Did you have some in mind?
I'm so kinda, yeah. I'm thinking like adjusting for all this stuff. I feel like addiction would not be out of hand.
Sure.
I
What do
feel
you want
like
to be addicted to?
I haven't quite decided. It'll probably be like a sedative of some kind or like a barbiturate maybe. Something that would quiet. You know what I mean?
Okay.
The value depends on the hazards. So
Yeah, how dangerous is it?
right. So I'm thinking some sort of like pharma grade sedative is likely what it's going. So it'll probably be like a 1 or like a 2 maybe.
Okay.
And possibly some sort of trigger response as well. not extreme, like not as far as like
Not like PTSD. But
not necessarily, no, but maybe some sort of aggression, trigger, or some sort of like disassociative trigger.
Okay.
I haven't quite decided what it's going to be yet. But yeah, I'm thinking somewhere in that vein. So like I wanted to pick up probably those two flaws.
Okay. And you get 21 points of freebie points as well. So you can take up to 7 points worth of flaws to increase your character.
Mhm.
And your freebie points spend according to the chart on page 105. You also start with 5 points of willpower. Now, do keep in mind, especially for you, Gilbert, with you playing a hedge wizard, you can purchase rituals as
Gotcha.
well with freebie points. And if you really want to go out there, you can spend 7 points per dot to raise your path or psychic phenomena.
Yep. Please don't. Oh no. Fuck.
Did your computer just crash?
My PDF viewer just crashed, so all the dots and things are gone.
Oh, give it a minute. It might pop back up. Otherwise, no. See if you can recover it.
No, I'm an idiot and didn't save it along the way. Damn. All right. Well, let me speed catch up.
Sure. Remember roughly where you put your stuff?
For the most part, yeah.
We also do have a tape we can always go back to.
True,
if you need to
true.
adjust your dots.
What goes good with an elemental type of person?
In terms of what? Like someone who works primarily with elements as magic?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because yeah.
Well, you could go the witchcraft route. You could try out, let's see, reality hacking if you want to be tech-based. That's a good one. Medicine work is good for that. Otherwise, you've got high ritual magic would be good for that.
Ooh, let's see. What does that
Or
mean?
gutter magic.
Gutter magic. Oh, that's so cute. Animal kinship with rats and cats and crows. Oh my. Art crafts. Streetwise. Get your streetwise here. Excuse me.
So you have a few options there.
There are definitely a few options. I'm so sorry that I'm getting
No, you're
immersed in
fine.
it.
Take your time.
I feel like it's a very one-note character, just like kind of into fire and punching people that he believes are belittling other religions and such, like.
I mean, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with starting there and building it out through play too.
Yeah. Truth.
You know what I mean?
All right, I might go with the martial arts. You know what? Yeah. So I might move some stuff around, but
Okay. Have you decided specifically on what paths you wanted? Or are you going to build from paradigm into path?
Probably paradigm into path.
Okay. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Can you, well, what skills am I using? Okay, well, what magic seems to work well with those skills? It makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, because after that, like I think the only other stuff that I wrote down was rituals. I think that's as far as I got.
Okay. What rituals did you write down?
I went with mostly what was sort of suggested. So there's like smoke and earthquake. You know,
All the Hellfire ones.
yeah, basically. There was like one not Hellfire one, but I'm not that interested in it. All the Hellfire stuff like sounds wickedly too cool not to use. So okay, yeah, let me move stuff around for acrobatics and
Yeah. But in the interim, are you burning through those freebie points? I can smell them coming off of you, Alex.
Yes.
What'd you end up getting?
So right now so the character has coalesced into telepathy, psychoportation, psychokinesis with a hold on. My sheet changed. Why did my sheet change? I saved and I lost my willpower. But anyway, I raised my willpower. Wait,
Okay.
it feels like it. Okay, so I saved, it emptied the dots, and I'm blacking them again because for whatever reason it decided to empty them. I don't know why.
Just the willpower dots?
Yeah, for some reason. It's fine. It's saved now. We're good. But see if it does it again. Yeah, I didn't do it again. So I still kept my familiar. I'm still undecided on whether I'm going to take that dot in animal psychic. So it's only going to be one. But right now I'm leaning on telepathy, psychoportation, and psychokinesis.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. I didn't buy anything else. Oh, it also emptied my stamina. Weird.
You're right. That's weird. How about you, Chaz? Any freebie point expenditures?
What are freebie points?
They're on page 105 of Sorcerer.
Okay.
You have 21 of them.
So I have an addiction to sedatives, preferably diazepam, but he'll take anything.
Sure.
And I'm still looking for that other thing. So I'm flipping through the merits and flaws right now.
Okay. Did you find what you're looking for, Chaz? The chart?
Yeah, I found it.
Gilbert, did you get your sheet repaired?
I am in process of repairing it.
You were reprioritizing all of your purchases, correct?
correct on my
What do we wind up
ability
with?
purchases. So yeah, I rebalanced it so that talents is first and then skills second, knowledge is third. And then yeah, the practice I chose is martial arts. And then you give me some wonderful instruction after that. It seems to elude me. So now that I chose my practice, what is next? What do I need to?
So you pick the skills out of that practice to choose which ones are going to associate with which paths. Because remember, your paths cannot be higher than your skill that it's associated with.
Okay.
So for example, if you're going to have Hellfire and you're going to tie it to martial arts, right?
Mhm.
You would write martial arts down either next to Hellfire or write Hellfire on your martial arts line so you know that when you're casting, that's the ability you use.
Okay. Let's see. I see. So like for athletics, I would put martial arts by it because that's what I would be using for that ability, right?
No.
Darn.
Your path for your just for the hedge paths.
Okay.
Just for the paths. So just for like Hellfire, Fortune, stuff like that. Just for the magic.
Okay.
You don't need to use skills for other skills. It's just just for the magic.
Just for the magic. Okay. It'll sink in.
It's all good. You're brand new to this system. It's fine.
Okay. So basically I need to choose paths now. Is that what we're
Right.
okay.
And I knew you had said Hellfire, obviously. And you said you were interested in fortune.
Oh,
Is that right?
I think we were talking about real life, and I mentioned the Powerball, but
Oh, maybe.
I don't believe I've actually looked at the path stuff either. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. So if you go into the little trick, if you go into the PDF and you open the bookmarks and you go to paths and rituals.
All right. How many points did I get? 5 points to spend in
In the paths, yeah,
paths?
5.
Okay.
Yep. So you'll look at what each path does. You look at the names and say, oh, that sounds neat. Look at the path and then look at the rituals underneath to get a basic idea of what it can do. And then you have 5 points to spend among those paths. And then we'll sort out your rituals once those have been purchased. Because your knowledge of rituals is relatively limited as a starting character.
Okay.
But there's other ways you can get them as well. I think you can get them with freebie points. I'm looking that up right now.
No worries. So theoretically, I can do like a cross of like Hellfire and Illusion.
Yeah, you can take those two paths.
I think I might do that. So I'll put like 3 in Hellfire and like 2 in Illusion.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Sweet. And I write this down at the pass/phenomena.
What?
Is that where I'm writing this down? The Hellfire and Illusion in the paths/phenomena section?
Yes, path/phenomenon.
Phenomena. Gotcha.
It threw me.
No worries.
I ended up buying. I was enhancing my paths for the most part, and I bought willpower.
Okay.
So I have all the willpower.
All right. It's not a bad way to spend your points up. Yes.
I'm tempted to. So I don't want to pick up PTSD. It seems like maybe he might be bipolar, but I don't want to play that wrong.
Right.
Like,
no, that's fair. Maybe take something like
paranoia, maybe. That sounds so extreme. Like there's not really anything in here for.
Well, this is related directly to your psychics, right? At the end of the day, to like
So it's something that has caused.
Why don't you take psychic feedback?
Where's that?
107, the sorcerer.
Oh, there were flaws at sorcerer.
Oh, you didn't look at the merits and flaws in sorcerer?
No, I thought that we were pulling them all from Mage 20. So
there are.
Let me go ahead and read. Oh, there's a bunch of cool stuff in here.
Starting on page 106.
Never mind. Come back to me.
Sure. Do you have a chance to look at those then, Chess?
I'm looking at them now, trying to see if I can get some stuff. I would love like some more willpower, and maybe like a shadow or something.
Okay, so now here's how this works with the rituals and the paths. Each time you learn a path rating, you get to select one ritual. Okay, so when you have your first die, you get to select a ritual in that path of level 1.
Okay.
Then when you get another dot in that path, you can select a ritual in that path of level 2 or of level 1. So on and so forth. When you get to 3, you can select a level 3, a level 2, or a level 1.
Okay.
The only other rule on it is that you can't jump a level. So you can't have a level 1 and a level 2 and then a level 4. You have to go 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Does all that make sense?
I
So you
think so.
You go through them dot by dot. Which am I buying for my Hellfire first dot? Which am I buying for my Hellfire second dot? Which am I buying for my Hellfire third dot?
Okay.
That's the easiest way probably to do it.
Gotcha. Okay. So I do have some Hellfire rituals, I believe.
You had some that you'd written down?
Yes. Smoke being one of them. And I think that's 1 dot. Is that true? Or is that
Okay.
our system?
These are, so these are, I think you got a little confused, which is fine. Again, this is all new to you. So these are all just
Shit, dude.
aspects you can purchase.
Fuck, yeah.
So that's part of a spell. You can have a spell that includes smoke.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay. That costs you 1 success.
Oh, gosh. Damn. That's amazing.
Right.
And then the same thing with Earthquake. Like, that costs like 2 successes.
Right.
Okay. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, on that note,
So then
Hellblade.
your rituals start with where it says sample rituals.
Gotcha.
You're saying about Hellblade, sorry?
Yeah, no worries. That has 2 dots. So what does that necessarily mean? Like, because I need a 1 dot first, right?
Right. So you'll need to pick a 1 dot ritual. Now, what you can do, there's a quick way to build your own rituals. Under the main rituals entry there on page 14, this explains to you the 3 things that rituals can do. So a ritual can do any one of these 3 things. It can empower the magician to attain a level of aptitude they can't normally access, letting them cast a spell as though they had 1 additional rank of their path. This might manifest through a new expression of power by increasing aspects beyond the usual threshold. So, for example, you could do a level 1 ritual with Hellfire that would allow you to arrive at an earthquake effect.
Okay.
Because earthquake is the level 2 effect.
Okay.
So casting it as a ritual, you could do it as a level 1 ritual.
Okay.
That's one way that rituals can work.
Okay.
Okay. The next way that rituals can work is expands the scope of the intended effect. You get to add your path ability rating in additional successes with which to purchase aspects for the spell, provided they achieve a success when performing the ritual. Okay. So you would build it up. Basically, the way that would work then is if you made a smoke ritual, because that's level 1. If you said my level 1 Hellfire ritual is going to be smoke bomb, I make this smoke bomb ritual, and then you would add your martial arts in automatic successes if you got 1 success when you cast it.
Okay.
So it lets you build like this pool of extra power.
Okay.
Into the ritual. Okay. And it's all on page 14. This is all explained. So the last thing you can do is express the ultimate form of the path by stretching the limitations of the path. You can create specialized and powerful effects within the path's purview. So this comes to things like turning fire into ice. Making, these things are all sort of covered by Hellfire, and now you can start swapping them with one another.
Okay.
All right. That's the 3rd type of ritual. So
the goal right now is to make my own ritual so I can get to Hellblade.
Yep. Basically, yeah. Pick a level 1 Hellfire ritual.
Okay.
It's almost as if there's no level 1 Hellfire ritual in here to make you go through this process.
Ooh.
Almost as if we expect a lot of people are going to be looking at Hellfire.
I like it. Can't wait to listen to all that creativity that's going to come out of all of this.
People seem to be enjoying it, and that's very satisfying. It's very satisfying.
I think the thing I really like about Hellfire already is like, oh yeah, you're not immune to your own stuff that you're throwing out there. Like, oh yeah, this is totally me. Perfect.
You do have a habit of blowing yourself up in games where that's general, like in settings and situations where that would generally not be an expected outcome. In fact, yeah.
All right. I certainly would like a level 1 smoke bomb. That sounds like fun.
Can you run down just idiot style conveyance for me?
Yes, it's getting from point A to point B faster.
Copying.
Sometimes it's teleporting. Other times it's like riding a, magic, like a broom.
Raj.
And sometimes it's preventing, like one of the rituals for conveyance is teleport ward.
Ooh, that's cool. Okay, I'm doing that. That's fun.
What's that?
So I'm going to take Psi Focus
Okay.
for gesticulation.
So you have to.
I have to airwave anything that I'm interacting with.
Okay.
Like, do I pick this for? Does this work for? Do I have to do this for everything? Or do I pick like one path? This is for
Which flaw is it?
under Psi Focus. It says your psychic power requires something beyond your mental powers to manifest, whether you need your lucky feather to ask pretty please or just pantomime the action.
Yeah, it's for using any of your powers.
Okay.
It's for using
So
your psychic powers. Yeah.
So I can take like the Professor X kit, right? Where he has to be like
Yes. That would probably be a 3-point flaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then you need to pick a level 3 ritual, which doesn't necessarily need to be the one that's here.
Okay.
But you could take that ritual if you wanted to.
I don't know. What would happen? Would I be able to do like a level 3? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. What else do I like?
You could do a level 3 ritual that would summon a drowning tide.
That sounds like fun. I kind of like the earthquake a little bit more, to be honest.
Okay, so you can choose to absolutely do a level 1 ritual
Okay.
that achieves earthquake's effect.
Okay.
You do a level 2 ritual that adds your skill as automatic successes when you cast earthquake, or you could do a level 3 ritual and shift aspects of the spell itself. So instead of it being earthquake, for example, it might be like sound burst,
Okay.
because you're still letting out elemental energy, but you're letting it go out in a different medium.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. As long as people get hurt, I think that's my main accomplishment with this level 3 thingy.
Right. So but again, that means that the ritual will operate at that level. So you have to roll for it at that level. And that means that you'll have take the time of ritual at that level. So if that makes sense?
I think so.
Yeah.
Some of these require like rests afterwards too, like a 5-minute break or something like that too, right?
Well, I mean, some of them, like, you get exhausted if you try to cast for long enough. One of the things about Sorcerer is one of the differences between sorcerers and mages, in fact, is because sorcerers are using magic that is ultimately a part of reality and is accepted by reality. It's not a quick process. It's almost like trying to cut a stick of butter with a butter knife made out of butter. You're trying to use reality to push reality around instead of using an outside tool to push reality around. It's slow. It takes time. It takes work. It takes labor. All those things that are going into that spell, all the times going into that spell, are part of crafting it, are part of what's required to craft it. Whereas a true mage just goes, I want reality to do this, and it does it.
That's awesome.
And so that's why sorcerers take longer to cast spells, because they don't have the luxury of just forcing reality to behave a certain way.
Yeah.
You know?
And psychics are their own category, or are they part of?
Psychics function differently. They're in a separate chapter in this book. And their powers are all derived completely from the mind, and they are not impacted at all by witnesses.
Okay.
Unlike both hedge wizards who just their magic fails, or true mages who get paradox.
Performance issues.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes. Oh, that's the other one I liked. Darn it, Tanglewood. Kind of like that one too.
Well, you could also take Tanglewood as a level 3 ritual that gets automatic successes equal to your skill.
Yay! Let's do that. Okay.
All
This will be
right.
fun. I like how it gave that specific example of like, if you want to stake a vampire, that's cool too.
What's funny is that Tanglewood ritual that you made just now, if your skill level is higher than 3, you'll already have, you're that much closer to being, like, you could literally make a ritual that's like built around sending all of the thorn splinters and bits of wood at the nearest vampire, aiming for the heart, like remote staking,
Yeah. Gotta be safe, in these times, in this potential 2022 world, right?
And so because you are building, if you build it as a ritual, because you get your affinity ability in automatic successes. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you roll to cast it, if you get 1 success, you automatically get your skill level and successes. It's almost like enhancement in story path.
Okay. Ooh. It's fun.
Yeah. So that could be your level 3 if you wanted to, the Tanglewood.
Yes, please. Especially with that
Not that I
description.
expect you'll be staking a whole lot of vampires with it, but
Okay.
turns out a wooden stake to the heart kills a lot of things.
Yeah.
Still not. I'm going to take that 1 dot in animal psychics then.
Okay.
All right. So I'm animal psychics 1, telepathy 2, psychoportation 2, psychokinesis 3.
Are you still planning on taking that familiar? Because you're going to have a hard time feeding it quintessence when you can't control quintessence.
What happens when you don't? I'm kind of curious about that.
It pisses off and stops helping you.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, what if I just have a contentious familiar who's just always hungry, and that's just like part of our relationship?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Like,
because like, but I can't get rid of them, right? Because they're familiar without like offing them. So I feel like the familiar would probably get me in trouble because like it might know where to get it, but it can't like access it. So like we have to do bad things maybe to get.
Yes. Did you have an animal in mind?
A ferret, yes.
I was
It's
gonna say.
a ferret. It's got to be a ferret. Something that I have to like he comes to school with me, right? You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of good
right.
time.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's your ESF.
What's that?
Emotional support ferret.
Yeah, he's my emotional support ferret. Yeah. But this isn't a time before then. I can't get away with that until like the 2012s.
Right.
So now it's just a pest that I have to hide during gym class.
Well, if you're all students at the school, I'm going to assume, unless you tell me otherwise, that you're all boarders.
Yeah, don't do much.
So.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Oh, I thought you meant when you said like it was like a boarding school.
No,
have to be.
People live there.
Okay. Yeah.
But you can also be like a local who doesn't reside there. That's either one's fine.
Yeah, a ferret that's with the school is great.
You had the other path that you chose?
The illusion, right?
I believe, yes.
Okay.
So going over to illusion, you got a couple of sample rituals here to get you cooking, but you will again need to craft a level 1 ritual.
Oh, I think did I do that? Yeah, because a level 1 would just be like a ritual that only affects like 1 sense and it's only fixed, right? Like that would count as a level 1 ritual.
Yes,
for illusion.
absolutely.
Oh, far out. Let me see what I wrote down. I had something stupid. I called it bad egg. I just want like a particular spot to smell really horrible.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There you go. You have created a level 1 ritual.
That's awesome.
And because it's a level 1 ritual, after you successfully cast it, you would add your skill and automatic successes to it.
Holy man.
You see how that works? Yeah. So that's one of the benefits to having low level rituals.
I like it. And how many turns does it take to cast? Or
so rituals take
Excuse me.
Just 1 second. Okay, so the greater rituals are 10 minutes a level plus 10 minutes for each caster beyond the first, whereas the regular rituals, the standard rituals, are just 10 minutes per level.
Okay. Sure. Okay.
So your level 1 ritual, in 10 minutes, you could make a stench that would have that strength of illusion.
In that particular spot.
And what's your skill that's tied to?
Ooh. That could be tied to. Oh gosh. Would intimidation be a thing? No.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe. Is intimidation part of your practice, though? Right? Go to your martial arts practice and look and see.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I believe
Okay.
so. That's why I put actual dots in it.
Gotcha. I mean, yeah. I don't know how you would tie that together unless you made it like you have to use particularly like aggressive imagery in order to conjure illusions. You know.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do something different here. Particular skill that could be tied to. What about medicine?
Sure, that would be more like either I'm going to cook up like vapors that are going to get you stuck. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
almost like almost like a scarecrow type of thing, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Perfect. Yeah.
Sweet. And then what now? I need a level 2 for illusion, and then
Yes.
that should be it. Okay.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask, what was your medicine rating at?
It was at 2.
Right. So when you cast that ritual, you would get 2 automatic successes as long as you get 1 success.
Okay.
And so the sample level 2 ritual is Cruel Whispers, which is pretty dope.
That one, yes, that one for sure. And I did have a question.
Sure.
Okay, let's see. So the description goes into whenever they botch, who you're casting this on, when they botch, they must make a willpower roll or else suffer the effects of the chronic depression flaw. And my question was, who came up with that one and are they okay?
As far as I know, and will admit publicly, everyone that worked on Sorcerer is fine.
Okay.
So you're like buttoned up then, right, Alex? You got everything done?
I think so. I think that's everything, right? I don't have Arate.
No, you don't. Shouldn't be on the sheet.
It is.
I know. It's in case you awaken.
Oh, great.
You know. Just in case you got some there. All right. Dope. How about you, gents?
I finally chose my second path.
What you going with?
Illusion tied to witchcraft using occult.
Nice.
How much is it to choose another path or like psychic specialization thing?
7.
7? Okay.
Yeah, 7 for a new dot
Gotcha.
of any path dots.
All right.
So you could just pump 3 dots into powers and start off with willpower 5.
Yeah, something I'm gonna do because
That's basically what I did.
yeah, vampires are good at taking willpower scenes.
So you're just gonna like max out psychic vampirism?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's like when you max it out, like once you vampire once, you could just vampire again and again and again. It's great.
Yeah, because you can like remotely steal life force from people, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I got you once.
It's like, I'm kind of hungry. Let me just boop. All right, I'm feeling good. And someone's on playing like, what is happening? So yeah, that feels right.
I love it. So do you have all your freebies spent up then as well?
Yeah, I'm just going to use 3 into like pyrokinesis or shadow or something.
Okay. How about you, Gilbert?
I'm just now starting freebie points.
Right. You got 21. That chart is on page 105. You have a willpower of 5.
Okay.
So you fill out 5 dots of willpower, and your freebie point costs are listed on that chart right there. You have 21 freebie points to spend.
Wowsies. Oh, that seems generous. Probably until, we start playing. Then it's like, wait a second.
Which, in case you're watching this and we're unaware, M20 Sorcerer is out in advanced PDF right now. You can go pick it up at Drive-Thru RPG, and we're collecting errata for the next couple of weeks. So now's the time to get in on the ground floor, check it out, see if you find anything that you don't understand that you want clarified. That's what the errata process is for.
I must learn your ways of plugging. It is absolutely brilliant. It's seamless.
Yeah, thanks. It's all that broadcasting school I invested so much of my life in. And that's what I have to show for it. And a couple of movies, I suppose.
Movies were dope.
A couple things I did want to touch base on. We're going to do all of our normal safety stuff at the start of the session when everybody's together. Next session. So we're not going to necessarily worry about that right now. I want you to think a little bit about who this character is as a person now in 2002 in her or his now. And then put a little thought into who you expect them to be in 20 years before we start playing. And then I'd like to contrast that with how that changes based on the events of the game.
Okay. So on to who they are now. And then who they become in 2022, you said?
Yeah, like who you see them going from there, like where you see them going from there, and then we'll compare that to where they wind up.
Okay. Okay, that sounds like fun. And then I guess, before completely wrapped up, I just want to make sure that I'm doing my paths and all that stuff correctly. So Hellfire and Illusion, those are things that I'm going to attribute to this. Oh goodness, there was a question there.
Your skill when you roll them is going to be the one
Yeah.
that you wrote down. So for medicine is going to be for illusion.
Okay, so I did do that correctly. Okay, yeah, and then
martial arts for Hellfire.
yeah.
Right? And then you have an attribute that you got to pick between dexterity and wits, which one you want to rely on for your casting.
Okay.
Did you go with dexterity or did you go with wits?
I went with dexterity, if it's okay.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So there'll be a lot of like hand movements, think Doctor Strange type stuff or Wanda Maximoff type stuff, right?
Yeah.
As you're channeling the mystic energies. And you'll use dexterity in martial arts when you're using Hellfire, and you'll use dexterity in medicine when you're using illusion.
Okay.
So you're literally just a finger waving mage.
Yay. I like that because like in my head, like this character's like very stiff and so like for him to have to like go like just cracks me up. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, yeah. And then basically next session we'll hit the ground running. We'll have our safety meeting, we'll dive right into the story in 2002. Did you have any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns?
I not at the moment.
All right, rock and roll. Well, thank you so much for taking the time outside of the regular scheduled programming to come in and get session 0 knocked out. And I'll see you on session 1, and I'll see everybody else in 2 seconds when I cut away from the shot.
Sure.
So while Gilbert's spending those points up, Leco, tell me about your character.
So Christopher Garcia Williams is a freshly minted 16-year-old with a lot of odd interests and he's plagued by hypervigilance and awareness of both situations, people, their feelings, and everything else going on. While he doesn't necessarily feel compelled to help them constantly, it's kind of his only way of going on. Like he doesn't feel morally compelled. It's almost like a coping mechanism for him. Like he hates dealing with people, so he'll generally try to find ways to like help them depending on what the situation is, without them knowing or without having to interact with them, or like by handling something adjacent. And otherwise he just pretty much keeps to himself, with the exception his most social activity is his Tuesday and Thursday karate class, which is something he looks forward to because everyone in the class is generally thinking the same thing at the same time. So he doesn't catch a whole lot of feedback there because everybody's kind of working in concert. So it's a very like,
it's like harmonious.
Yeah, it feels good for him. And everybody's trying really, really hard all the time. So it just, he has computer skill only because he's an introvert and he's a nerd. In that sense, he's not socially inept. He's a relatively handsome fellow. He just doesn't like interacting with people or manipulating them. He doesn't have a go-getter personality. He doesn't have a whole lot of ambition. But he does have a very good friend in that when he was getting sent off to school, he convinced his mother to take him to the pet store to buy him a pet. Maybe with the policy they allow you to have a pet in your room if, like, I don't know if your parents are bangers or ballers or donators.
That's fine. You'll find you're not the only person there with a pet.
And he actually wanted a dog or a cat, but this ferret kept yelling at him and screaming about how hungry it was and how it just wanted out and it didn't know why it was here, and all these other ferrets smell, and it was just, so at some point he just buckled down because he tried to go out to the parking lot and it just kept screaming at him. So at some point he decided to get the ferret, much to his mother's dismay, because she doesn't like ferrets. She thinks it's a rat. And I haven't named it yet, but it's going to have a really long, probably self-aggrandizing name.
I love it. Beautiful. And tell me again, what was your character's name?
Christopher.
Thank you.
Christopher Garcia Williams.
Thank you. And Chaz, how about you? Paint me a picture.
So Kai is a fun guy. Like he just like likes being the face of the party. He loves like when everyone's having a good time. And so the problem is, like, when he was in school, sometimes you're not supposed to be like the center of attention. That's what the teacher is there for. And so he was sent here where I assume originally there was a lot of like disciplinary action about like you don't need to be the class clown all the time. But then he started channeling all of his energies into like side activities. So he also goes to the martial arts class. But like if there's like a theater kid thing, he's there. If there's music, he's there, whether he's good or not. He looks like he gets like just like ecstatic when like he's the center, partially because I think this whole psychic vampirism thing that he has going for him feasts on both negative and positive emotions. And so he can just like bore you to death, or he can perform a rousing number of your favorite song. And once he sees that you're like really enjoying it, just a little taste of your emotions. And he's just all right.
Love it. So almost using force of personality and positive power of positive thinking is like a farming technique.
Yeah.
Though not quite as maliciously as that. Like
Right.
That makes it sound like it's more deliberate than it is.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a happy side effect of his personality.
Yeah, like he just has a good time. People tend to have a good time around him, and then he has a better time where when they're having a good time, the reason why is unnecessary right now.
I like it. I like it quite a bit. And then Gilbert, how are we coming along? Are you still crunching numbers?
Yeah, it says in the, because I'm looking at rituals and such. It says I need to take a level 1 ritual before I take a level 2 ritual.
Yes.
Trying to find level 1 rituals for illusion. That would be in Mage.
No. So as you're looking at rituals for Sorcerer, hold on 2 seconds. So you'll look at the individual path that you're dealing with, and it will give you some sample rituals, but it'll also describe what the rituals for that path typically look like.
Gotcha.
So when you go into illusion,
Hmm.
starting on page 35, it gives you the description of illusion, and then you have a couple of sample rituals on 36 and 37. Now, these are just some basic ideas of what those rituals are capable of doing. So when you look at like crafting a ritual's effects, that will fall under page 16 of Sorcerer.
Gotcha.
So when you're creating a new ritual, that's specifically for making like a new ritual, but
I've named my ferret.
there are rituals that can, just 1 second, Alex. There are rituals that can empower a magician to attain a level of aptitude they can't normally access, casting a spell as though they had 1 additional rank of their path. Rituals can expand the scope of the attended effect, granting you your path rating and additional successes to purchase aspects for the spell, provided you achieve a success in performing the ritual. And they can bring more power to bear than spells by going beyond what the base spells of the path can achieve. So as you're designing that ritual for level 1 for illusion, you look at what level 1 can do. So you can either do something that would be the next level higher, but you're doing it as a ritual, or that gives you bonus successes when using the level 1 power, or that stretch the basic purview. So like with illusion, for example, let's say I wanted to make illusions that cause you physical damage in addition to physical pain. That would be, I could do that with a ritual at that level, right? Does that make sense to you?
Kind of. I feel like this may take me a while, just the ritual aspect of this stuff.
Well, and you can take your time to come up with the specific rituals. If you just want to note, like, I need to fill out X number of rituals.
Gotcha.
That's fine. Your rituals for summoning, binding, and warding should be a lot easier because it's all ritual magic. So, you basically pick like what kind of being you want to be able to affect. For each ritual. And then whether you're going to summon, bind, or ward the target. So it gets pricey in terms of ritual cost. And you don't necessarily need to know a ritual for a path. Like if you have 2 dots in a path rating, you don't necessarily need to have 2 rituals in that path.
Gotcha.
Those rituals can come from any path. You just get a number of rituals equal to your dots. Make sense?
Track and all.
So if you wanted to dump all your rituals into summoning, binding, and warding, you could,
I may just do that.
for example. But while you're dealing with, all you have left to do though is pick rituals.
Basically, I'm spending freebie points, and
Wow.
that was what I was eyeballing.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about who your character is?
He's a bad dude. He's a liar. He's
Like Henry Rollins?
he's
Veins in his neck?
I'm a liar. He's not a good dude. He's manipulative, and people that think that they're his friends he doesn't really view them as friends. He views them as kind of his tools. And he knows that he can be pretty charismatic or manipulative, and he uses that to his advantage. He's not a good dude.
Right? What does he want out of life?
To be remembered. He doesn't want a life of mundane, 9 to 5 work, live, die.
Does he have a name?
Not yet, but that is a name. Once he has a name, he will definitely want it to be remembered.
Okay. All right. Well, while we're patching in
Insubordinate.
while we're patching in the rest of the details of the characters, just to let you in a little bit, the headmaster of the school is a man by the name of John Nighthawk.
Oh, it's Oshag Hennessy. Sorry.
John Nighthawk is a older fellow. He's probably in his 50s when the story begins in 2002. And in addition to running the school and serving as the dean of students and sort of the main caretaker of the property, he also instructs some students in the use of certain gifts they might have. There are several students there who are capable of using some form of low-level psychic power. Most of them are much more in the wild talent stage than either of you two. There are also a few who have studied the more occult and esoteric arts, and one student who nobody has really explained to any of you why, but they're very ill-tempered, remarkably strong for their size, and on at least one occasion have bitten another student in a fit of bloodlust.
Sick.
Quite literally. The students are taught how to cope with their abilities, how to expand their abilities, and how to hide their abilities. Professor Nighthawk has mentioned in the past, in passing to each of you, that he once belonged to a larger association of students of the occult, but they no longer see eye to eye. And when he left their organization, he took the school with him. The school is located within the city limits of Lodi. It's a peaceful town. Low crime rate. Nothing untoward or unusual happens there. In fact, for a town with a school full of children that seem to have some sort of supernatural ability or other, it's a remarkably quiet town. Nothing seems to happen for the most part outside of the school grounds with a remotely supernatural bent, unless one of the students breaks the very, very strict rule of not using your powers outside of the school grounds. Other than that, nothing. There's like almost a remarkable absence of supernatural presence.
Does Does Tom Wopat still live there in 2002?
Does Tom Wopat still live there in 2002? As a matter of fact, he does.
Luke Duke.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently, he's the most famous person from Lodi.
It's a true story. Remind me to tell you the boring ass story about the time I met him at a garage sale. But anyway,
Jeez.
it was pretty much, hey, you're Luke Duke. And he was like, yep, sure I am. How do I get to Toma? And we're like, oh, you go that way. There's the boring story of how I met Luke Duke. So that is, in a nutshell, what we will be looking at. So now I would like you to spend a little time thinking about, I'm not talking about necessarily expending experience points, though that will come at some point. Just thinking about like where you see this character at in 20 years, or where they would like to see themselves in 20 years. And in fact, what I think, go ahead.
I'm gonna say I can tell you out the gate, his driving goal is going to be to silence the forever moaning and groaning of Hyacinthiana Immaculata the Voracious, or Cindy.
The best.
And what does Cindy grate on your mind about?
Being hungry, pretty much perpetually.
Okay.
And shiny stuff, and both. I mean, she's a great friend. Okay, she's insightful, provides a lot of assistance in general. But figuring out what she eats is almost impossible for me. And every time he offers to, bring her to the dean or find out maybe someone who knows, she is all of a sudden unavailable and just not around. So he's tried to trap her and drag her to the office. Doesn't work. That never pans out. So it is up to him to find out how to solve for that so that he can have a full night's rest once. Other than that, he just wants to graduate and figure out how to live away from people, or figure out how to not feel them all the time.
Okay.
Because even without his telepathy or any of that other stuff, he still can't help but be in tune with them and what they're doing. He people watches constantly. He listens to their conversations. It just happens.
All right. I can dig it.
And he wants to be a black belt.
All right.
And learn to meditate deeply. Enhance his quiet.
So it's very much about gaining control, gaining a sense of mellow and a sense of calm, and being able to care for himself and his friend.
Yeah. And Cindy, to her credit, though she is loud, because she demands so much of his attention, it prevents him from like losing his shit constantly.
Gotcha.
It's easy for her to harangue him. So in a lot of ways, there's like that kind of, she demands his attention so that he can't be upset about his other stuff.
Wonderful. I like it. All right, Chaz, how about you? Where's your character? And again, what was your character's name? I'm going to ask a couple times and then I'll stick.
Kai. I don't have a last name yet.
Kai. Okay.
I think Kai at some point wants to kind of find balance in the draining of people who he actually doesn't hate.
Okay.
And probably doesn't see them as food, although does see it as a necessity. So like find a profession where he can drain them, but like not like drain them so much that they die, and he doesn't have a dependence on it that I assume he would have at like this stage in his life where it is very much close to an addiction, if not an outright addiction.
Okay. So find something that you can do productive with your life, where you'll be able to use your talents harmlessly. So you're happy, the world's happy, everything's great, and that's what you're trying to. Okay, I dig it. I like that. And then Gilbert, how about you?
In 20 years, hoping to be building off of the whole people remembering his name. Probably hopes to be famous to some degree. I don't think he's figured out how to do that yet or what path he wants to go on yet. So just fame,
Does he see himself in 20 years?
Oh man.
Speaking as a former nihilist, does he see 20 years?
Probably
It's
probably
a fucking
wants to.
it's a fucking trip. Forgive my language, but holy balls. It is to be there and look and say, I never thought I would see this age.
Yeah. He
Is a
probably
trip.
wants to, but probably realistically doesn't see past the current moment, honestly.
So he wants to, but he's like scared or is fears that he won't be there.
Yeah. Likely.
All right. I like it. That gives me all that stuff. All of this stuff is giving me fertile ground to play with. So I will let each of you determine your relationship with John. In broad strokes, I would say he's kind of a almost Rupert Giles-esque figure. He's generally supportive, a little bit stiff. Definitely has a agenda for the school that he is definitely passionate about meeting, and has probably, I'll leave it to each of you whether you've ever directly gotten on his bad side, but there's definitely a reputation for him among the school of like, don't get it, like he gets scary when he gets angry. Up to you whether or not you've ever seen that come to the fore. Just feel free to clue me in on it.
So I would imagine that Christopher's relationship with it's John Nighthawk, is that his name?
Yes.
Okay. So with Mr. Nighthawk would probably be something akin to drive-by questions out of context.
Sure.
Which is probably something that he's very familiar with. It probably happens often here, but if there's anything that would get Christopher on his bad side, it would be the fact that he always unintentionally, when he asks a question, he listens with his all for the answer. So he hears what they say and he hears what they think, and it's probably really invasive to someone who might be aware that that's happening all the time, and it might be really frustrating to someone who might be aware that that's happening all the time, which is why he doesn't talk to anybody or ask them questions, generally speaking. But he always has stuff he wants to know, hence the esoterica. Like I'm imagining that Mr. Nighthawk probably gives him stuff to study to keep him away from other people.
Okay.
Look at this random book of random weird stuff and go study.
Okay.
And this will answer your weird ass question. And so that's where the esoterica comes from. So I imagine he helps him like manage his space by, again, feeding him distractions. It seems to be a common tactic.
Okay. I like it. It's also a nice way to sort of slip in some information that he may not want to tell you directly, but might want to convey to you.
If he chooses to do something that awful, yes, and make my life horrible.
Excellent. And so does anyone else have any thoughts on their relationship with Mr. Nighthawk? Professor Nighthawk?
I assume I would be on rocky terrain with him, because if he's like aware of what I do, then it's a balance of like keeping me in these activities, which like I value greatly and I give my all for, but like the better I do with these activities, the easier it is for me to like just slip into, I'm going to drain everyone in the audience.
Right. This is just dinner. This is a buffet for me.
Right. And so like, I think like the intention is there, and if he's like trained in this way, like he will see like the intention's there and I'm trying really hard, but you know, maybe you don't make me the lead in the like main play where everyone's going to be there. Maybe like you're doing set design for this one. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Fucking love that. Because yeah, there probably was that time where I was the lead and then I was like, I'm so full. And he's like, yeah, but everyone, shit, my bad. I didn't mean to do that. But like, how good was I? That like breakdancing scene, chef's kiss, am I right?
I love it. Awesome. Cool. Many wheels are turning, and I appreciate all of the material you're all giving me. And last but not least, Gilbert, what do you think your relationship is with?
I named my dude Daniel, and I feel like Daniel feels like the professor doesn't like him. That's just because he's an authority figure and he doesn't buy Daniel's bullshit. So he feels like because he's not able to trick him, he's like, no, this dude doesn't like me. He absolutely fucking hates me. So I think that Daniel sees him as maybe not an adversary, but like a block in his manipulations and schemes.
Okay. All right, cool. Now I have 3 puddles of gasoline and all I need is a match. So I will be working with Pesto over the course of the next few days and interspersing that character creation perhaps into this in cross-cut edits, or perhaps I'll just tack it on the end here. We'll see. The viewers at home will know what I have ultimately chosen, but I do not. But we're going to go ahead and wrap this session up for us now. And I'll make sure that Pesto's character gets made so that we can dive into session 1 next week. That will be entitled 2002. Any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns before we get going? Any evaluations of the process of creating your sorcerer characters?
Yeah, actually, I had some. I was really curious as to whether we were going to have a say in how we know each other, or what we might be inclined to be interacting for, because I had some thoughts that I wanted to share with the table.
Sure, absolutely. If we don't establish it right now, we will establish it at the beginning of session 1. We will also do our safety meeting at the beginning of session 1, since not everyone's here.
Sure. So what I was thinking, and I don't know how bad Daniel is. How bad is Daniel? Is Daniel like criminal bad? Like, how bad are we talking?
He's criminal bad, but it's not like he's burning down buildings. It's just
because I'm thinking I probably get my downers from you.
Yeah, it's theft, drug abuse, probably some light assault and intimidation work. Yeah, he's not a felon yet, but he's
Sure.
definitely on his way.
So I think I have a working financial dependent relationship with Daniel. Probably very non-hostile. You know, he doesn't really care that Daniel's a criminal or angry all the time. He tries to avoid hearing his thoughts, so he tends to hum music because it makes him very anxious and very violent. He doesn't like the way he feels when that bleeds over. So that's probably, I would say that's probably the most likely reason that he knows Daniel. And I was also thinking that there's a pretty good chance that his relationship with Kai might be kind of oddly toxic, just because of the nature of Kai's abilities and the nature of Christopher's propensity for kind of self-destructive behavior. So like, I feel like he's a wellspring of energy in a lot of ways for someone like Kai. So I'm thinking that maybe he understands the nature of addiction very, very well. So I'm thinking like maybe he gets right, and then maybe he hangs out with Kai, he gets right, and he kind of lets Kai get right off of him. You know what I mean?
I do.
And then because I mean he can recover that. Like that's part of his cycle of, you know, self-indulgent destruction. And you're sapping willpower, right? Is that what comes off?
It also helps you quiet the voices, I would assume.
Yeah, but because the less willpower I have, the less powerful everything is. So
right.
I'm imagining that something like that might be, you know, there might be some cool codependency going on.
I like it.
I get doped up. I let him get doped up. We just hang out in his room. The ferret wonders what the hell I'm doing and wonders why I'm not looking for food.
And I have three more questions I want to ask you, speaking of relationships. And if anyone else has any other relationship dynamics they want to share with the table, or ideas or questions or pitches, now is the time. But I want you all to think about your relationship with the spooky room in the school that nobody likes to go into. I want you to think about your relationship with the kind of spooky, pasty kid who's angry and violent and did one spite someone. And I want you to think about your relationship outside of the school with the town, whether you leave campus ever, how you're seen around town. So those are not things you necessarily need to answer right now. Though if you know the answers right away, we can share them. Otherwise, that's something we'll discuss at the beginning of the next session.
I'm sorry, I guess I could expand a bit on if I were so inclined with Daniel, since I may not necessarily always have, like if money's not always an option, right? Someone with Christopher's talents would be very, very useful to a criminal.
Absolutely.
So we need to pop an ATM or like, wiggle some things, go raid a pharmacy. Like those are things that I would be more inclined to do to feed my addiction, obviously, or to make the person who provides me with that, So my relationship with the town is probably filtered through Daniel in a lot of ways. And the other side of that is Daniel is unapproachable and dangerous, so people tend to stay away.
Sure.
The Daniel's relationship with the town is a facade. He's the upstanding citizen. He's the the grandmothers think he's just a delight. Meanwhile, I think that more suspicious folk are kind of like, there's something off about that kid.
He's got kind of a Eddie Haskell vibe.
Yeah, he's a shit, and but he hides it well, at least along the town. So in that regard, I think if Christopher is filtering and hanging out with him, and the town is looking at them both together, those are just the sweetest boys, and they do so good. They do such good work for this. They help with charity drives and shit. Yeah, as far as like the kid that bit somebody, I'd probably pretend to be his friend just so I don't get bit. and then if he ever snaps, then cool, he might be a useful tool. The spooky room would be of interest, but probably a little lower on my list than the people of the school.
And the spooky room will be in the basement of the library.
Question regarding the spooky room. Is it a place where people generally avoid going?
Yeah, nobody needs to go there for any reason, so no one does.
I would say that that would draw Christopher in immediately. The fact that it's a place to be alone.
Gotcha.
Even if it's weird.
So for Kai, he would constantly try to take people into the spooky room with him, like taking someone to a horror movie and they get scared and so you feel safe. Plus, once again, fair feeding. So that's
maybe that's where we get down.
Yeah.
All right.
The pasty bitey boy, kind of gonna antagonize him. From
bully the kid.
From trying to be a safe distance, but he's still young and like he's already angry, very easy to feed on. So like I'm sure I'm gonna get bit at some point.
Right on.
And then the town. I don't think I would go out on the town because like I'm aware that I have this like penchant for feeding on people and I don't actually want to do it that often. So I'd probably stay in as much as possible. And like if anyone sees me, they'll see me in like a basketball game or a concert for whoever watches high school stuff or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Christopher pities the kid.
That's fair. Also a fair response. And you have that demence. Have you given any thought to its construction, how it was built? Is this something that John helped you create? Is this something you created on your own? Is it something anyone knows about?
Oh yeah, I would talk about this all the time. I will get back to you on the construction. I'm looking at that lucid dreaming thing you told me right now. So I can like send you an email tomorrow. I'll be like, here's how that looks.
Right. And that could be something that John could have helped you sort out or taught you how to build.
How to create, okay.
Like that's entirely possible. If he knows lucid dreaming, even if he doesn't have his own demence, which he may, you don't know. he could teach you the skills to build it. If that's something that you want, if that's a rapport you wanted to have with him. If it's not,
Yeah, I think like Kai is very much like looking up to this person as like, you can help me with this thing that like doesn't feel around. So like if you have like anything to offer, yeah, I'll take it.
cool.
Even if you did get mad at me that one time because I played the piano too well, which that's on you, but
Nice. I love it. All right, cool. If there's no other things, I think we have enough information to make us dangerous. Again, keeping in mind that we will be handling the safety meeting first thing next session. Do we have any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns before we move forward?
Negative. I will work rituals and get that to you in an email as well.
Yeah, feel free to email me any questions about constructing rituals, and we can discuss a little bit of them on the fly on stream as well. Because there is a bit that you can do, like in terms of like, I want to build this ritual in game. There are some options you have.
I will note that I'm slightly alarmed by myself and my penchant for some reason it is impossible for me to make a World of Darkness character that isn't inherently damaged. So I don't know why that happens.
Is for.
It's instinctive. It's like grained into me, and I blame Travis. Just so y'all know.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? Somebody, I don't remember who said this, but it was a very, very brilliant observation. Might have been Liam from Critical Role said the reason adventurers are all fucked up is because if you have a good life, what the fuck would you be doing adventuring?
Yep.
yeah.
Like, hey, you want to leave your happy family and successful business to go fight this dragon? No.
Fuck off.
Generally, no.
Yeah, so there you have it.
Yeah.
Well, that being the case, then, like I said, through the magic of editing, this will all come together in a beautiful piece. But in the interim, I'll have you all go ahead and give us your outros. Tell us who you are, what you do, who you're playing, your pronouns, their pronouns, and anything you would care to promote. And this time, we'll start things off with Chaz.
Hello, everyone. I am Chaz, he, him, they, them, and I am playing Kai, he, him, the extroverted vampire. We'll say. I think that's who Kai is. Who tries his best, and when he does his best is when he's at his worst. I love the cycle already.
I look forward to seeing that play out in this conversation. Next up, Leco, please give us your pertinence.
Leco Rodriguez playing Christopher Garcia Williams, the overstimulated psychic with a few issues to work through. I'm pretty stoked to kind of get our legs under this one and get it moving as soon as possible. Sad that our fourth couldn't be with us today, but I'm sure that she will add all the flavor that we're looking for and more to this motley. Because as of right now, we last 2 sessions and there's going to be bodies and jail time for everybody here.
I am looking forward to both of those things. Last but not least, Mr. Ramos, take it away.
I'm Gilbert Ramos. I'm going to be playing Daniel Ortiz, both he, him. Daniel Ortiz is a liar, a manipulator, a little bit of a prick, just honestly. But the world as a whole sees him as just, he's decent. He's a good guy. We know his name. He's an asshole, and I hate him.
Which means you love playing him.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a very strange dip back into, again, this is based on Tiny Me. This is going to be gross. I'm going to feel gross. It's okay. I do Twitch things. Again, very hyped for Scion Godson Season 2, starting on the 21st of August, where you can see myself, you can see Alex playing a new character. It's going to be very exciting.
Oh, you're joining the Godson cast?
He did. He joined in Season 1 as Royal for a little bit.
Well, I knew he had guessed it. I didn't know he was joining as regular.
I did the dragon cameo, and now I love them so much that I'm going to ruin Gilbert's day weekly. That's my plan.
By all means. In reality, technically, it's Chaz's world. We're just tied into it.
You're just breaking it. Well, I cannot wait to see how that plays out as well. So make sure if you've not yet done so and you're watching this, If you're not following this channel, please follow so you know when all these things go live. Please subscribe to us. If you're Amazon Prime user, you get a free sub per month. We would love to be your free sub. And if you've not yet done so, head over to Drive Through RPG and pick up World of Darkness, Mage the Ascension 20th Anniversary Edition Sorcerer, which is amazing that it's out. I'm so thrilled. I tweeted about this. I vague tweeted about this like a year and a half ago. That I sat at a Denny's and Lecco was sitting at the same table when I said if I had my way, if there was any World of Darkness book that I could make, what I would want to make is World of Darkness Sorcerer. Because while I love and deeply love the original, I had some issues with it. And I think you'll find that the 20th Anniversary Edition addresses those issues. And I hope you enjoy exploring it as much as I've enjoyed helping bring it to fruition with our amazing crew of authors. So please do pick it up. Please tell all your friends to pick it up. Please leave ratings and reviews at Drive Through RPG so other people know what you think of it. And please tweet at me. I am Travis Legge. I am he, they, and I am available everywhere on the internet at Travis Legge. Shoot me a tweet. Let me know what you think of it. I'll let you know a little secret. Writers are powered by positive feedback. So if you have ever written a word that anyone on the screen has enjoyed or anyone connected to anyone on the screen has enjoyed, if you ever read anything or consumed anything they've liked, let them know. If there's someone who's not currently on this screen whose work you like, let them know too, because it really does offer sustenance in times when all other forms of sustenance fail. Hearing that the stories that you've crafted have impacted another person can really be nurturing to the soul. So
Because they're all psychic vampires.
we all are. So yes. So go tell a writer how much you love their work today. And
I don't like direct compliments, but vague compliments on the internet, that shit gets me going, dude. You have no idea. You have no idea.
Right. So don't tell Gilbert how much you like his hair. Just tell him how good his writing is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Same here. Same for almost every author I know. So please do tell your friends about Sorcerer 20th Anniversary Edition. Pick up a copy. Make sure you're getting your shots, washing your hands. If you're in New York, get your polio vaccine because it's fucking 1920 apparently.
What's happening in New York, Travis?
Yeah.
Listen, just get your vaccines. That's all I'm saying. And if you're in New York, consider getting a polio vaccine, please.
What did I miss?
Anyway, until then, we'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves and each other.